Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak. Kayfu halikan.
Barakat, alhamdulillah. It's great to see you, man.
It is. It is. It is.
All right. All
It's,
right. Finally.
it's been too long. Personal in-person visit, but I'm gonna work on that.
Yeah, that's okay. Either way is good for me, as long as we get some studying in. Let me just say for those who may see this that I'm speaking to Shawn Sommerville,
Salam
a
alaikum.
very good friend of mine, longtime learner and now instructor in Lunetics. And you have been making tremendous progress in the few years that I've known you, and in maybe just a relatively few months that you've been actually actively studying this on a weekly basis along with the class. So big ups to you. And let's see what we can walk out of this session with. I know it's going to be just nuggets of gold.
Well, I'm so curious as to the additional word that you throw on me, but I'm ready. I got my akal ready. I got my books. I
Yeah,
got
yeah. All
ready
right.
to finish.
Well, one of the words that we're working on is the word Bakara, as you know, Bakara. And that's
Right.
the name of the second surah of Al-Qur'an.
hmm
And how do we translate that word?
Generally, it's translated as cow,
Mhm.
but it's actually heifer.
That's correct.
There's a
Right.
difference between the cow and the heifer.
Absolutely. So if we give it the definite article al-Baqarah, then we're saying the heifer. All right. So let's give it from the beginning. You have a calf,
hmm
CALF, at 2 years old.
Okay.
Okay. At 2 years old, that calf automatically becomes a heifer. When the heifer has a calf, the heifer automatically becomes a cow.
Correct. There it is.
So the three stages again.
Will be the calf,
Yes,
heifer,
yes.
cow.
There you go.
hmm
So my grandmama used to call some of the girls that my daughter would hang out with at a young age,
hmm
she would call them heifers. She said, "You need to stop hanging out with that little heifer."
hmm
All right. So they weren't really talking about her maturity as such. They're talking about her pretense
Right.
at being mature.
Okay. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Because the kind of the kind of girls that my grandmother was talking about were 13 years old,
Right.
pretending to be 18 years old.
Or fast, as they say.
Yeah, they said fast little heifer, right? Because she was pretending to be something that she wasn't, is the point. Remember now, no matter how old the heifer grows to be, she doesn't become a cow unless she gives birth to that responsibility.
Right.
If she has not given birth to the responsibility of motherhood, she is still, for all intents and purposes, a heifer.
Correct.
Now, let me show you the logic in the language and the letters. Okay.
hmm
Um, I'm going to put this, let me see if I can. I started writing on a piece of paper. Let me see if I can just find that and share that with you. Hold on. All right. So this is Bakara. I'm capitalizing only the consonants in the word Baqara, with the consonants being BQR.
hmm
When you read about the Bakara in the surah called El Bakara, it tells you that the heifer is of middling age. And we'll
Middle.
take the word cow off of here because it's not yet technically speaking a cow. When the followers of Musa ask Musa, how old is this heifer? He says, not too old,
Not too young.
not too young, but of middling age. So that's your first hint as to what a Bakara is. These three letters here, the B, the Q, and the R, are also consonantally connected to the English word heifer, in that the H is a guttural, the F is a labial and the R remains the same. See, the H interchanges with the Q. Doesn't matter what order they're in the actual word, as long as they're in the word. So the H and the Q are gutturals, and they can be substituted for each other. The B and the F are labials pronounced with the lips, F, B, and they can be interchanged. And in this case, the R remains the same. Make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
All right. And I'm going to show you how many different variations of these consonants there actually are. And it's going to go a long way towards understanding what Allah is speaking about when he uses this term Bakara. And again, in this surah itself, when Musa is asked, how old is she? That's when he says, not too old, not too young, but of middling age. That's the first hint towards what Bakara is actually speaking to. It's not just speaking to a cow or some heifer in the field or something. No, he's making a salient point when he uses the word middling age. All right.
Okay.
Now, even if I give you the word that it turns out to be thematically, meaning as a theme, and we look at this word called half, what are the three consonants we have there?
HLF.
Okay. So if we translate that or transfer that into consonantal connections using the word heifer, tell me what you see.
H, the R and the L, and of
Hmm.
course, because the
That's
L
right.
and
So that's right. So even the word half in English is consonantally connected to heifer.
and that's it. That is the incredible science of Nunetics.
Yeah.
And it's
Because
just
look, even with the Arabic word bakara, the B and the F are interchangeable. The Q being a guttural
like,
and the ha being a guttural, the H sound in the throat being a guttural.
mhm.
And of course, the L, as you said, is interchangeable with R. So even the word half is consonantally connected to the word bakara and also heifer. It's beautiful.
And then even more so, like with, the other word we have was Bahara, which
Yes,
split in half.
it follows suit. Same thing. So what we're arriving at is not a definition. I don't like the word definition because we're not training people to be deaf phonetians.
Correct.
That's where the word definition comes from. Deaf Phoenician. And the Phoenicians were the ones who went around establishing language for people around the world because they were seafarers who visited many lands. And when they did, they began to help them further establish language. They did that for ancient Greece. They did that for many lands, ancient lands. And the Phoenicians got that science from studying ancient Egypt's language.
Correct.
They called it Kemet. Yeah, right?
And
So these are people. Mhm.
as you taught us, that's where the word phony come from, and
That's right.
phenome, Phe, well, phenome,
Hmm.
phonetic,
Yeah, Phenome, phoneme, or Pho, pardon me, Nome. That might be wrong. My English speaking brain is not working that well this morning. But
it
yeah,
happens.
yeah, all right.
Phenome or phenome.
Phoneme is what I'm looking for. I'm saying phenome, but phoneme, Phoneme. Okay, we got it right now. Right. So even if I take the word split and split it, this S is remotely connected to this Q. Not that the S is a guttural, but because the S is at the opposite side of the mouth from the guttural, meaning the guttural is in the throat, and the S is a sibilant that falls at the beginning of the mouth. right there in the beginning, right? So because they are opposites, they are also going to be consonantally connected, but not as direct siblings. If we were in the human world, these two letters would be kissing cousins.
Like
So they're
keep,
not directly from the same mother and father, but they're related.
alhamdulillah. That and I hadn't even thought about that.
Well, look at the other guttural called calf or K. Let's just follow the logic to its logical conclusion. You have the calf, the K, and the K and the Q are related, right?
Correct.
Then you have the S and the K. Yeah, I'm getting it right now. The S and the K are also related, even though they're not from the same part of the mouth. They're opposites. As I said, the S falls in the beginning of the mouth, sibilant, or what they call a whistling fricative from the front of the mouth, and the K is in the throat, like the cough, like the Q. Calf and cough are essentially the same letter. Okay. So how did we get in the English speaking world the word circus? And just take the US off because that's a Greek ending. But circus, and in this sense, we can dismiss this R because we're not dealing with that right now, but we're dealing with the sounds of this first C and the second C in circus or circumstance. Any word that has those two C's, but this one is obviously pronounced as an S in the mouth, sir. And this C is obviously pronounced as a K. So in English, although we use the word C as the third letter, there's really no such thing as C in reality. There's either the S sound or there's the K sound. You got it?
Yes.
Phonetically, they changed it to C for reasons of hiding information within the English language, hiding the meanings. People have known for many years that every letter has a meaning. And when the higher up people, the echelon, the elites wanted to speak to each other without common people understanding what they were talking about or who they were talking about, they would substitute certain letters that they knew common people were not familiar with. And you couldn't get familiar with it just from hearing it like you can with Arabic. Arabic, whatever you hear is the actual letter and its accompanying sound. So
As
if I
with
say, hmm,
as with Spanish.
yes, sometimes.
Well,
Because if
some
I ask you, what is your name? How would you pronounce that?
Shawn, oh,
No, no, no,
Shawn.
no, no. If I ask you in Spanish, what is your name? Give that to me in Spanish.
Oh, in Spanish, ¿cómo se
Hmm.
llama?
Yeah. What's that last word you pronounced?
Llama.
That sounds like Y to me.
Right,
So it's
right.
not true even for Spanish.
Yeah, because the double L, yes.
See, it's true mostly for the Shemitic languages, or what they call the Semitic languages
Well,
that come from the other side of the world.
then it would be like the same in English. You'd have to pretty much grow up learning the language and knowing these nuances. Same
Yes,
with Spanish, because in certain other
yes,
places, they pronounce the double L like chef.
yes. That's right.
Okay.
So in this case, you'd have to know it to know it, and that makes you an elitist. Whenever you have to know something to know it, somebody has to teach it to you. And even though they've taught it to you, when you say it to other people, they don't know what you're talking about. They wouldn't know how to spell it until you teach them. That's an elitist language designed for elite people.
That's why Allah chose Arabiya, the Arabic, for the clear, concise, no confusion.
You got it, my friend. All right. So circus, there's no C. You can't give me a separate pronunciation for the letter C. It's either going to be the K sound, K, or the S sound in this case, S, and the K sound, K, circus. Okay. All right. So let's
I
get a
do have
bit. Hmm?
with within circus like that, then that's connected to carcass.
That's right.
And carcass, of course, dead body,
That's correct.
dead.
That's right. Absolutely. The word circus actually comes from the word cirque, which means
Oh.
circle.
Cirque Soleil. That's what they
That's right. And the other meaning for cirque is church.
oh wow.
Can you see the connections there?
So you got the and even with that cha,
That's right. That interchanges with the CH sound.
you got
So
the
this C here becomes the ch sound, the CH here, but C and CH are interchangeable.
right.
So in Star Trek, when they give you Captain Kirk, they're giving you the church.
And think about now, because you know I'm a sci-fi geek. That's so
I know
funny.
that's why I threw it out there.
Captain Kirk, and you look at the following that they a lot. So quick
Yeah.
side story. My niece were asking because I collect comic books and she's into the cosplay and stuff. She's like, Uncle Shawn, we're going to the Galaxy Con this year. And I was like, because we went for the first time, and that was my first Comic Con, and so I was able to take my niece and nephew, and we had a blast of a time.
Mhm.
But they asked me, I said, well, check it out and see, who was there. And I started quote unquote geeking out because
Mhm.
William Shatner is going to be there. And I said, oh, I need to go there and get Captain Kirk's signature
Yeah.
because it goes back to the whole childhood looking up to him. Yeah,
Yeah.
church. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a form of worship.
Yes. These programs are programming us with information that is beyond the average person's reach. So they give it to us as entertainment, but for them it's inner attainment. They're looking to attain things to help them grow internally, spiritually, mentally, morally, etc. So
Right.
when they sit with their children and grandchildren and look at these same programs, look at these same movies, they're sitting there telling them step by step what these things mean. Whereas the rest of us, 95% of the audience is looking at them purely as entertainment, to laugh, to cry, you see? But that's not how many of these other people who are the elitists of the world, that's not how they teach their children.
Mhm.
So we're just beginning to turn that curve from entertainment to becoming people who are inner attaining
Yeah.
information that's going to help develop their internal lives. You got it?
Yes.
All right. So I was starting with the SPL and split. And now that you know that S and K, or the guttural, the Q here, are interchangeable, then you know that this S can interchange with the Q or the R. So just so that we don't become confused, the S can interchange with the K. The K came before the Q, so we use the K. And the P can interchange with what? Which one of these three letters here? Ba, ka, ra.
You said the P
Yeah,
B with the B.
that's right. As a labial, right? So
Correct.
you have the S interchanging with the K. You have this P interchanging with the B, and you have the L. You mentioned it earlier. It interchanges with what letter?
The R, the raw.
That's right. You with me so far?
Yes.
All right. So the Bakara, you see it here as the BKR. But we said the B, the Q, and the R. I'm going to put the K and the R. But even if I put the Q, B, Q, R, we're back to Bakara.
Correct.
So the SPL in split is also speaking to the BQR in Bakara. And what is Bakara if I leave the K and make it BKR,
B,
BAKAR, or BIKR?
well, it'd be like bicker or you said Bikar?
Yeah, BIKR, they would spell it, bicker.
Bicker.
We know what
Yeah.
it is in English when you argue with somebody, but what is it in Arabic? Do you know?
When you argue with somebody in Arabic,
No, no, no. No, in English, if I said stop bickering,
bick,
I'm
right.
saying stop arguing, but it means something different in Arabic. It's an animal. Do you know which animal that is?
I do not, I cannot recall.
Okay, so that's your homework.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get back to you on that. But again, the underlying theme is what again for all of these words?
Quick question with that, because
Mhm.
now made me think of because when I was looking up the words and how the words the consonantal connections and how the different words are, especially in Arabic, but then it ran across like Barakat, the Baruch.
Yeah, so let's put that. Barakat, right?
Right.
Same
But,
consonantal connections.
but then that's not the animal you're looking for, though.
No, no, not Barakat is no. The bicker is the animal I'm looking for. So just Google it as BIKR and you'll see it. Don't worry about it for now. If you don't know it, you have to look it up.
Okay.
Okay? All right. But you just gave me Barakat, which has the same consonantal connections. They're just interchanged. The
Hmm.
positions of the letters are interchanged. You have the ba, the ra, and the ka, right?
Hmm.
So there's going to be something. What do they tell us Barakat means?
Blessing.
Yeah.
Bless. I'm trying to get back to
Okay.
my.
You see the B. You already know that R and L are interchangeable. And there's your L. And you know that K and S are interchangeable because they're
Okay.
at opposite ends of the mouth. KS, as we said in circus. So did I lose you there? I don't think so.
No, I'm still here. I think I'm still here. Can
No,
you see
I
me?
mean, did I lose you in terms of what I was saying?
Oh, no, 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 no.
Okay. So baraka and balasa.
Alasa.
And see, we can do this all, we can dance this dance all night long. Because if I asked you another Arabic word that has the balasa consonantal connections in the Quran, whose
Hmm.
name would you come up with?
Iblis.
That's right. See how fun this is?
It
It
is.
would be Iblis. So what
And
does that mean?
how I know
See,
with this I can be all day.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. We'll wear people out trying to listen and follow. But Iblis, which is from the verb balasa, 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 is consonantally connected to the English word bless. And you know, bless can be a good thing, but bless can also be a bad thing if I'm blessing you out.
Yeah.
Right? And then barakat. So all of this is your homework. And whoever else in cyberspace might hear this, it's your homework. What do these words have in common as a common theme? Now, here's what you should be looking for. You should be looking for the idea that we started out teaching on, and that is that it's going to represent a split of some sort. Okay? Some sort of split. And you see the churches have split to become many, many denominations.
Any denomination.
When you go to the butcher store and you order a piece of meat, they take it from a full cow that has been split into many, many sections, right?
Correct.
You can specify the section that you're looking for. I want shoulder, that kind of thing. I want a chopped meat burger or whatever. I want a leg of something, a leg of lamb or something, right? Well, that's exactly what they did with the church. I want to be Pentecostal. No, I want to be Baptist. No, we should be Methodist. And the church, which began as the Roman Catholic Church, became chopped up into many, many dozens and actually several hundred denominations. How else do we use the word denomination in the English language?
We did math, um,
Yeah.
with math, religion, um, what else? Man, I'm having I ain't gonna say the word, but I'm having
No, it's okay. Listen, I know what I do when I throw things out. I know what your brain has to go through to jump through the hoops to get to the answer that I'm looking for. So I ask my questions on purpose, knowing that you're going to be confused because I want you to wind your way out of the confusion on your own in most cases. And I'm just showing you the method to do it. But I have to still tell you what the method is, and then you have to just keep practicing it. Okay. If I were a banker or somebody working in a bank,
money,
yeah, they
different
might
than
say, well, you want $5,000. What denominations would you like them in? The denominations are the split in the amount of dollar bills, $1, $5, $10, $20, right? $50, $100. What denominations would you like? And it's exactly the same reason why they split religion into denominations. And Muslims, don't fool yourselves into thinking that Shia, Sunni, Ahmadi, and all of that are not denominations.
well, they definitely
We like
are.
to boast that they're not. Oh, Islam is one. Muslims are one. No, you're not. You're supposed to be. That's what the Prophet taught us to be. One, but that's not what we devolved into. We devolved into different separations, different denominations. And the purpose of dividing up into those denominations was to make more and more and more money off of what was supposed to be a singular deen. There's not supposed to be any. Where's the term Sunni Muslim in the Quran?
Nowhere.
Where are all of these other denomination names in the Quran? Where was Baptist and Methodist and Episcopalian in Jesus' time? Did he name them that?
He didn't even name
Allah
a
says in
Christian.
the Quran, Allah says, we named you Muslims in this revelation and even before this revelation. He didn't name you Sunni. So where'd you get that? Talking to the Muslims now. Where did you get that?
Nor did he name us Quranists.
Keep going. You see the scheme.
Yeah,
The scheme even it even reveals itself when they're trying to make connect when they're trying to make corrections on a lie.
yeah,
Anytime you're beginning with a scheme, you're going to end up with a bigger scheme at the end of it.
right.
So there's nothing in the Quran that says to call yourself a Quranist. In the Quran, Allah says, "Kul huwallahu ahad." Say Allah is unique. So if He's unique, what can you compare to His uniqueness? He tells you that at the end of that same surah. Kufuwan ahad. There's nothing to be compared to His uniqueness. S-U-N or S-O-N. Whoever you say He's like, it's a lie because He's ahad. He's unique. He's so unique that He uses that word ahad in the Quran only one time.
And
The
therein
other
lies,
time he's using wahid
yes.
on other occasions. You see what I'm saying?
And that's
But the
science.
word ahad, A-A-D, it's only in there in Surah 112, Surah Al-Ikhlas, which means it's over, it's done, it's purified. Don't add anything to it and don't take anything away from it. Just like Muhammad being the so-called seal of the prophets, S-E-A-L, it means that once the bottle is sealed, you can't put anything else in it and you can't pour anything out of it. Make sense?
It does,
Okay.
which is a denomination.
Yeah.
Don't
You
make
have a
dollar
seal. You have a
sense.
seal on the dollar bill also, right?
Exactly.
The
Exactly.
great, the great seal.
They did a great, 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 great trickery.
Yes. But Allah did a wonderfully great thing in explaining this to people who look like you and me when we look at ourselves in the mirror every morning. And we thank Allah. We have to stop and thank Allah for Imam Waladuddin Muhammad.
Khalifa.
who began unraveling this gigantic puzzle beginning in 1975.
And
He unraveled it for us,
I will
much
admit
of it.
I will admit this to you, and I guess I'm admitting it to everyone, but hey, I'm not ashamed. But when I was first introduced to the Imam, I was like, that's it. But because of my desire to really, well, the way we were brought up through Christianity, okay, if Jesus ain't white, then it ain't right. Or if
Mm,
you're not in Mecca and going to Arabia, then you're not Muslim. And so
yeah,
I got stuck into that mindset, even though
yeah,
everything the man was saying was right on point and in tune with my fitra, with my natural inclination of wanting to learn.
yes,
Go to that process of what you said with bait, with bad, with emptying out all the bad that I had digested, and then
yeah,
filling in with the good.
yeah, exactly. You
Alhamdulillah.
ready to move forward?
I am.
All right, you mentioned when we talked about the word Bakar, what did you say it meant?
To split.
Yes, that's
Mhm.
right. So that's also dealing with a split or separation. And Allah in the Quran speaks about the two seas. Bahar is ocean or sea. And Allah speaks in the Quran about the two bodies of water, one salty, and what is the other one?
Wine sweet.
That's right. And he says there's a separation between the two, a noticeable separation. I've seen it where the sweet water stops and the salty water begins, and it's a whole different coloration. One is clear, the other one is murky. Many people who have traveled in different places of the world, they can testify to that. I know you can, because you're a soldier. So this is what we're dealing with. So Bahar has to do with the two also.
Bahrain, the country.
That's right. The suffix ain means two. Bahrain, two seas. Right?
Hmm.
Okay, so let's move on a little bit further down the track. So getting back to Bakara, Bakara. Again, for understanding's sake, we want to drill into us that Bakara does not mean cow. It does not mean the cow, al-Bakara. Al-Bakara means the heifer, as we have it at the top of this page. And I think we explained already that the English word heifer is also consonantally connected to the word Bakara. The B and the F, labials, the Q and the H, gutturals, and what is the R?
The liquid.
Yes, liquid. All right. Okay. Let's get rid of some of this. I'm still going to deal with the idea of Barakat.
And interestingly enough, with the R in Spanish, if if you are a native speaker and if you really want to put out that, hey, I know the language, you have to roll
Mhm.
that. That tongue is up at,
Yes,
which I still
that's right.
struggle.
Yeah.
But
Like the they used to have that commercial for Ruffles potato chips, you remember? And it's
mhm.
you may not, I don't know if you remember at your age, but the commercial used to say that Ruffles have ridges.
Yes,
Yeah. All right. They were giving you the correct pronunciation as it's given to us in Espanol. The rolling R to let you know that your tongue has to touch the top palate and then roll. It doesn't stick there.
has to have movement,
Has to.
which are always represents that all.
Right. R is supposed, oops, to roll, but its sibilant called L is supposed to stay stuck to the palate. So when you use the letter L and your tongue becomes elevated, it's supposed to stay there. L. L. But R is supposed to roll. Anytime something stays stuck, now we're getting into the fitra-based meanings for these letters. Anytime your tongue stays stuck to the palate, you automatically know that it is a magnetic property because that's what magnets do. That's what magnetism is. It's stuck. It's magnetized. But if I say R and it rolls, it's not staying stuck, that's electric. So in the pronunciation of the L and the R in the mouth is also built in the understanding of electromagnetism or magneto-electric properties. You've heard of that guy, right? Magneto?
Again, comic book nerd, X-Men.
They're all science, man, including the X chromosome. They're dealing with high science in these movies. All right, let's move on. Okay,
One
so let's
quick
go back.
question.
Sure, go ahead. And
So
I want you to
because
take
you,
your time with me today. I'm on your time now.
oh, okay. So with the, because we know that the feminine is magnetic and the masculine is electric.
Yes,
So we'll be able to, um, well, not postulate, but determine that then L is would be considered a feminine or a
yes.
feminine principle.
I'm an principle. That's right.
'Cause I know with the R, especially in Arabic, you have Rijal,
Hmm.
which is man, or I believe it's also a soldier too. But then you got
Hmm.
Rai, which is the head of the countries and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
Trip, Rijla.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah. Rajel is foot soldier, not just soldier.
all right.
It has to do
And
with the feet.
Al,
Yeah.
okay.
Rijal. That's right. It has to do with the feet. And that has
With the
different meanings.
and with the
Hmm.
lamb at the end, the lamb
Yeah,
at the
it's
end.
this and it's yeah, that's right. It's the feet that stay stuck to the ground, especially for a foot soldier.
This is
His work is
wonderful.
mostly on the surface of the earth, right? He's out there scouting out danger. He's doing a lot of maneuvers on the ground.
It's beautiful when you understand it.
It is. And
Alhamdulillah.
and and they have mistranslated that word in the Arabic language out of the Quran. They mistranslated it as uh men, the man. Arijalu, Kawamuna, Nisa. And they say the men are the maintainers, protectors, providers for the women. That's a totally messed up translation that has been given to us by most of the translators who translate out of Arabia into English in their dictionaries. Arijal has nothing to do with you being a male sex gender. It's speaking about a principle of operation that is taking place in you.
I tried to explain that to a coworker of mine today, speaking about
Mhm.
human, because we had a conversation, what actually human means, and he didn't get it, and it's almost like he slapped me in my face. I was like, okay, and then I just moved on to. I said maybe
It's a
next
new,
time.
it's a new language, it's a new understanding. So people have to get used to it. And you have
Right.
to bring maybe three, four, five different examples
Mm,
from things that they know about,
mm.
right? And what you can do with the word rijal, which they mistranslate as uh, men, sometimes males, what you have to do with that is look for the consonantal connections that are to be found in the English language, where we know that J is interchangeable with another English letter that sounds exactly like it. What letter
G
is that?
G.
Yes. J. Yeah, that's right. And G. That's correct. That's what they call the soft G. The hard G is gorilla, but we don't have that sound in Arabic.
Mhm.
We only have the soft J. There's no G sound, no J in Arabic.
And then with the G sound, you're looking at it in English, of course, that's going to bring to regal.
There you go. That's your consonantal connection.
And then legal.
Now that's another consonantal connection. You're getting it now. Hold on. Let's correct this R here. You're rolling now, partner.
I might
So
have to
that means regal and legal are related words.
that's science.
I'll give you another one.
Yes. Because the regal, the
Yeah.
royalty, wanted to put the
Mhm.
legislation.
That's right. And the Y is a guttural, the way it's being used here. Roya, the ya from the back.
No.
Yeah. So royal and regal are essentially the same word. And it's the king, the royalty that lays down the laws. The legal jurisprudence, they call it. It's usually royalty, and that royalty can be the queen. It doesn't have to be the king. So Rajel is not just speaking to males, it's speaking to a principle that operates that can be either masculine principle or feminine principle,
Mhm.
but has nothing to do with X chromosome, XY chromosome, or XX chromosome and XY chromosome. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with your position in society.
Your denomination,
Yes,
your worth.
yes,
That's your worth.
that's your worth. That's your warith. That's your
So,
inheritance.
so it really got my mind going now because,
I know. I'm going to give you enough to keep your mind going until I see you again and again and again. I'm giving you a jump start. Well, it won't be a jump start because others will see this, but
but
it's
then,
giving you enough with your mind. The way I know your mind to be, this is still giving you a jump start, even though other people will see it. They won't understand it on the level that I know I'm giving it to you and that you are understanding it. Maybe a
but
few of them out there, but not many.
let me
Okay.
ask you this thing. So, given that, in Britain and places like that, when they're in the legislature or the judge and stuff, all the things they do, they have those white wigs on and they tend to be kind of curly and sometimes they look knotted up or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Now, is that because of, because, in the Bible it says that, Jesus' hair was like, excuse me, like lamb's wool.
Mhm.
And thinking of lamb's wool, it's the texture and the color.
Yeah.
So could they be trying to postulate that, okay, I am in a godlike, they think Jesus is God, astaghfirullah, but that gives them that level of authority over the common people because I'm here legislation and I'm regal.
Yeah. It's a trick that was pulled on the Christian world. And the trick is that all of you think that you are leaders. All of you think that you are legislators. But really, what we're creating for you is a role that connects you to sheep.
Mm, indeed.
Even when you graduate from school, college, university, they say you've earned your sheep skin.
The
So
diploma.
that curly white hair is wool. They learned that from the Sufis, the Muslim Sufis in
Mm.
history. They wore coats of wool in very, very hot temperatures. They were training themselves, they were disciplining themselves. So it wasn't cold outside necessarily, but they would wear wool because wool has a certain symbolic significance.
That's the same gown that they when they be twirling, or that
The
different.
dervishes, yeah,
Dervishes.
the whirling dervishes, right? So yeah, it's the same. So the uh, the sheep is actually referring to the populace, not to the leadership in their
Okay.
secret language. because there's just a few people in leadership positions, a relative few number of people who are actually pulling the strings on the whole world. They're regulating and legislating the entire world. So you see, they are regal, and the people who are regal are doing the regulating. Yeah, they are regulating the entire world, and they're keeping the world regular. The AR here is a suffix. Regal, regulate, royal, legal, regal, are all saying the same thing.
All
And
connected.
regular, they taught us that regular means ordinary. But in their secret language, regular means we're the ones who regulate, who lay down the law for ordinary people. Got it?
Got it.
Okay. Thanks for your patience.
Oh,
Doing several things at one time here. All right, so let's go back to the top and go back to why Barakat fits this profile also. And then we'll go back to Bakar and Heifer, and you'll see the fuller picture. Ready for the ride?
I am.
I didn't see you put your seatbelt and stuff on.
Oh, it's. I got the old school one
Around the
around.
waist, the bus driver one, the school bus driver. But we are in school, so you got it. You got it. All right. So let's look at this Barakat. Now you might say, well, what does Barakat have to do with half of something? All right. Barakat literally refers to something that is brought from one side to an opposite side. In other words, there's a person who needs a blessing or needs a barakat, and you say, wow, that woman there, she's a poor woman, and the Eid is coming up, and I know her children can use some new shoes or new sneakers, or new gear. So maybe I'll go out to the supermarket and I'll purchase things for her, and I'll take them from my house or from the store near my house and I'll give them to her. You're crossing over those gifts. The gifts are, that's what the BR means every time you see it. It means crossing over, just like I'm going over the bridge. BR. Doesn't matter what the third letter is. If I
Bring
borrow, hmm,
bringing.
yes, I'm bringing it over to you. That means it's going to leave me and end up where you are. So my side will be empty of that thing that I'm giving, and your side will be full of the thing that I'm leaving you. That's BR. Bring it over here. I want to borrow that. It's going to leave you, even if it's temporarily, and it's going to end up where I am until I give it back. If I give it back, if I have to give it back. So a barakat is not just a blessing like we say, oh, God is going to, enhance something for them. Or no, it means that something has to leave one side and travel to the opposite side, as cars do, trucks do, buses do when they go over the bridge, the bridge. Even if I call my child a bright child, something has left in order to fill up something where that child is. Something has left the teacher, the instructor, to travel over to where my child is sitting in that school seat. And now the teacher is not the only one with that information. I carried that information over to my student or to my child. Now I can go back and get some more of something else and bring it to the child the next day. I don't have to keep repeating that same lesson because the child has proved that he or she, they get it. They got it. They're good. Let's move on. Okay. So that's what a barakat is. It has to travel, is the point, from one side of something to the other side. It has to empty itself from one side in order to fill up something on the other side. That's a Barakat. Now, how does that relate to Bakara, to the heifer? It's in that part of the ayat that we mentioned earlier that says that when they asked Musa, how old was this heifer? He said, not too old, not too young, but of middling age. So something that's of middling age is leaving one age bracket, toddler or youngster or whatever, and then it's going to become a teenager. It's not a teenager yet, but it's crossing over. When it turns 13, as they say, you become a teenager. It's still not an adult. It's still not a full-blown adult until it turns 18 or whatever they say you're supposed to be. But that in-between point that they call teen, Allah says he created us min teen.
Mhm.
Yeah, he created us from clay, from malleable clay, shapeable clay. Those are the ages where you're getting the most uh when you're being what do they call that? Shaped into fashion. I think the Quran uses a phrase like that. Shaped
Mhm.
into fashion. Allah took the clay and he gave it masnoon. Now, that means he gave it its sunnah. And that in the masnoon, they say that he created the man from dark, stinky mud and fashioned it into shape from dark, stinky mud.
And the
And
hum,
they call, yeah, yeah, you get it.
and speaking of translation, like we spoke earlier, I've seen a
Hmm.
lot of Qurans. They refuse to say because I believe it says it's actually the type of mud is black mud.
Yes.
Then they just say mud.
You know why? They got a lot of pushback from people when when African Americans started to become Muslims. And they started to ask them a lot of questions about why black has to be stinky. We,
Hmm.
we have a sensitivity to being called that, from the so-called white man who was once the slave master, once the person in charge of Jim Crow and all of these other uh, heinous acts and sayings. We came up from our whole history of being called stinky. I'm guessing this, but I believe I'm right because that negative translation kind of disappeared all at one time. And
They say
I have
fetty.
I have most of the translations into English, and you're
Mhm.
right; they don't use that much anymore. Even though, listen to this, even though that's actually what it does mean. You want to go down that rabbit hole for a minute?
Yeah, we can because
Yeah,
I think I think where you're going with it is because humus. When you get into
yeah,
any person that does any type of planting, if you go to Lowe's, you buy you that premium bag of soil,
yep,
it has a smell to it,
that's
and you
right.
put everything it needs to get the best out of that seed that is planted.
Absolutely. When my wife buys strawberries, if she can't put her nose to the carton and smell the freshness of the strawberries, it doesn't matter how red they look. She's not going to buy it. She said these have been sitting around too long. They've lost their freshness.
Yeah.
So many things are judged um, usable because of the fragrance or even the bad smell, if you consider it to be a bad smell. People do it all of the time. Horses leave their droppings in the soil, but it does what for the soil?
Fertilize.
It fertilizes it. So the farmer's not angry because the horse's stuff stinks. The farmer's happy. He says, because whatever that nutrient is that is dropping in, I don't have to live with it in my house, but it certainly is contributing to the growth of my plants.
It's money,
So,
money, and chicken or alpaca, that is premium money as far as the
yeah,
silver.
that's right. So, Hama'an is where we get also the word ham. That's a Semitic word. Ham. So it's there in the Quran, in what we just gave you, Haman, and it's in the Bible under the children of Ham.
Mhm.
And remember, the character Ham was one of the three sons of Noah, and he was the one who was rejected, just like Negroes were rejected for being stinky, smelly.
They called it.
Nobody wants to be around them. You understand? Yeah. So they built all of this crazy, wicked sociological stuff. They built it into scripture. And when the Muslims came along, what they started to do was to follow the tafsir, if you will, of the previous religions, particularly the Christians and the Jews, who both have in their religious lexicon that ham means something bad. Ham means stinky. Ham means we don't want to be around you. You clown too much. You play around too much. And ham, that's how we got the phrase, he's a big ham. That means he takes nothing seriously.
And I always thought they were just talking about the meat.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
I grew up practicing Judaism when I was young, between birth and 12, I think, or 13. I was a bona fide Jew, according to my mother, who left the church and joined the local synagogue, the so-called Black Hebrew movement.
Mhm.
So we knew these tricks in the language from having them inculcated into us at very young ages, right? So that's how ham came to mean something negative. But now let's check the fitrah to see how negative this smell actually is. First of all, you have a farm, you do farm work, and you know that there are, as we just mentioned, certain things that you can smell that might not smell that great. If you're a human, you don't want to smell like that, but you know that that smell is necessary for the further growth and development of your crops. And see, even the word crop is related to crap because you need crap to join to grow your crop. Isn't that something?
And then when you crop something, you take out what and what you don't want. You leave
That's
behind.
right. Yeah, listen to what you're saying now. What you're doing is separating out what you don't want from what you need or from what you do want, right? Okay, so let's follow the logic to its logical conclusion. That C is actually a K when you pronounce it, right?
Correct.
Frog. There is no C, like we said. It's either going to be a K or an S. In this case, crop is K, ta, ra. Then you have the R and you have the P. This is exactly consonantally connected to the word baraka, to the word bakara, to the word hathara, to the word bahar. The K here, the K sound is here in baraka. The R sound, obviously, baraka. The P sound interchanges with the labial B sound. So barak or baraka is related to karapa or crop, and also, obviously, to crap, which does what? Separates from the body.
Yeah.
So the underlying theme, my friend, is always going to be that which separates.
One to another.
Isn't that beautiful? That
And,
which separates.
and that's just, he said, like in the Quran says, these are signs for those who reflect.
Absolutely.
People get
So
upset,
for,
they lie, and they crap.
yeah, you get emotional, you miss it. Yeah, you got to stay in the intellect for this one. All right. So Bakara, the one of middling age. Now you've heard of the Middle Ages in world history. You're going to find out that when you study the Middle Ages of people from around the world, including the Muslim world, it's always a time of tremendous uh, disturbance. Tremendous disturbances take place during the people's Middle Ages because for all intents and purposes, they're becoming like a teenager would be in the real world. Your
Mhm.
teenage years are your middling ages as a young person. Then you have another middle age when you turn 40. Now you're in the adult middle ages. But in your younger years, between being born, growing into a toddler, 2 or 3 years old, and then growing into your teenage years. By the time you get to your teenage years, you're the same as the heifer is in the world of cows. You are a calf, which I think we pointed out earlier, is also consonantally connected. You see it there. C, R interchanges with the L. The P is a labial, interchanges with the F. So what does the calf have to do? The calf has to separate from its calfness. It has to separate from its calf level development. If that calf goes into a heifer with the same little playful mind that it had as a calf, a calf is very dexterous. A calf is uh, what's the other word I'm looking for? Just playful. The calf is all over the place. He do the split on you like James Brown at a moment's notice. The calf, there's a
Al-
word for it. I'm forgetting. Yeah.
Is it
Um, go ahead.
aloof?
No, no, it's another word that they use in Arabic that gave us an English word that I'm referring to. I'm just forgetting it for right now. But if I remember it, I'll mention it.
Um,
Yeah, I'll remember it shortly, inshallah. All right, but you can clearly see that all of these are related. Now, let me show you another thing that you can handle, and maybe some people in the audience can handle with those same three sounds. You have the fa, let's go backwards. You have the la, and you have the qaf as the guttural. So what is fed?
isn't it to break?
Yeah. So tell me what it has to do with separation, because that's the theme. Remember, all of these have to match that one theme of separation.
Because you're separating one thing from another, or you're going from one stage to the next.
That's right. And in this case, what's being separated is the light from the darkness.
Right.
That's when you know felak has been reached. The light has to gradually separate from the darkness. If it stays midway, it's probably judgment day. If it just stays dark, that could be a problem, But if the light increases, oh man, you reach felak and now you're on your way to daylight. And all of that is in the Quran. These stages we're talking about, they're all in the Quran.
So then another word then would be Khalifa.
That's how did you read my page?
I did not.
That's the second word I was going to give you. That's right. But let's finish this thought here because there's another word that also is used when they're talking about daylight or the beginning of morning. What is that word?
um
It's
Fajr.
connected to one of the salats. There. You see the connections? The J is a guttural from the back of the throat. Yeah. Yeah. The F interchanges with the F in felak. The J is a guttural, interchanging with the guttural letter Q in felak, and the R interchanges with the L. Now, if I'm somebody listening to this for the first time, and I'm not immediately attracted to wanting to learn more about this science, especially if you read the Quran, and especially if you already know the Arabic language, and you're sitting on the other side of your screen going, well, this is nice. Yeah. And that's all you get out of this, you are dead.
Yeah, or that's
Your brain dead.
bidda. All that.
I'm not ashamed to say it. There's nothing bid about learning letters and what they mean and how they interchange. So I'm saying that to Muslims now, or those people who are students of Al Quran. to let you know that Allah has gifted you with something very, very wonderful in linguistics. And it has nothing to do with you being a Sunni or a Shia or anything like that. You don't have to pledge fealty to any particular school of thought. You don't have to be involved in any school of thought. You don't have to be involved. This is not a black Muslim thing. You understand? You don't have to make any of those commitments. All you have to do is commit to common sense and language. And this will keep you and your children and probably your grandchildren occupied from now until all of you are dead and gone. Because there's no turning off the brain when it comes to fitra, logic. Fitra is everything born out of the creation. How can you get tired of this? Unless you think you've learned it all, you don't need to learn anymore. But for as long as you are committed to learning, you're committed to learning from the fitra, the world of natural phenomenon. The word fitra itself means that the thing has to split vertically so that something can grow or come out of it. That's what fatara means, to break.
And isn't that how
And
we are?
say it again.
How we are created ourselves? We have that,
Absolutely.
and it splits, and then it goes, and it continues to split.
Yeah. It splits and then it breaks. That's why we call Fajr day break. So look at break. And if you think I'm making this up, you know that this would be impossible to do. This many times in a row? No. The B interchanges with the labial F.
Mhm.
The R in Fajr is the R in break. The K is a guttural from the back of the throat, just like the J. I can do it here with crap and crop. The P interchanges with the B in break. The R's interchange with the R in break. And the K sound is a guttural from the back of the throat that interchanges with the K here. So break, because you got to break the ground in order to plant a crop, don't you?
You do.
You have to split a part of the anatomy that I'm not going to mention right now in order to produce crap. There's got to be a split. There's got to be a break. People talk about, oh, he's sitting there breaking wind, brother. Something's got to part for something else to come out. You might not like what comes out, but that's the fitra.
Well, two things. You remember how I said every little thing trigger things my dad would say?
Yes, sir.
That thing, if you said the FART word around him,
Yeah,
it's like you went and slapped the Pope in the face. He's like,
I
Shawn,
understand.
I'm like, why can't you say break wind? And we used to laugh,
Yeah,
but you're
yeah. Listen, I couldn't say hell around my mother. I had to say heck. And I said heck one time and got slapped in the mouth. That's how on it my mother was. You couldn't even say heck.
but then
But
there's
people
a
need to get up. Yeah,
and you're into music, but there's a song, Break a Dawn. It said Break a Dawn, and everything with that, because they're breaking the dawn, and then the music starts out as if it was a sunrise. And then when it gets to a certain point in the song, then the bass and everything comes in, and it's like,
yeah.
so it's like break, and it's everywhere. You
Is
can't
that
cut it.
is that the Michael Jackson song, Break of Dawn, or another song you're referring to?
It was, I think, Q-Tip is hip hop. They sampled it.
Oh,
The,
okay. They might have sampled it from Michael's song though. But it was a beautiful song actually if you listen to it. Yeah, so you're right on it, man. You're right on it, right? So that's break. And then if we turn this a different way, we have
Kabir.
Kabir. Straighten this K out. Same three letters, right?
Mm. You can't make this up.
You can't. It's impossible.
It
Now
says in the
people might say, well, what does Kabir have to do with um what's our theme here? Separating.
rating.
If I'm greater, you should know there's a separation.
Mhm.
If I'm great, you should know there's a separation. There are many people and many things that are not great. They're mediocre. As soon as I become great, Muhammad Ali, he became great. He won the gold medal or whatever, whatever. He's not you anymore in the
Mhm.
gym, weekends, Gleason's gym. That's not you anymore. You're on top of the world now. You're great. And he even went on to call himself the greatest. Astaghfirullah. Nobody's the greatest except Allah. El Kabir. Allah is El Kabir.
Kabir. His
Yeah, he's not
attribute.
Akbar.
Yeah, he said.
Akbar just means greater. But if something is greater, there's room for something else to become greater than that. So when you call Allah greater, Allahu Akbar, you can't compare him like that. We said at the beginning of this class that nothing is to be compared with him.
But
And this
then
is
what?
what a lot of Muslims don't recognize. You cannot compare anything in this creation to Allah. He is singular and uniquely the greatest. There's no upper echelon to the greatest. You can't bring something else in and say, oh, okay, let's put him on top of the greatest. And that doesn't make sense. He's
Mm.
already the greatest. And none of us can be the greatest. We can only be greater. And in the Quran, even Shaitan and his forces are called Akbar. Most Muslims don't know that.
And see, that's what blows my mind because it since I've met you and been studying your things that you have taught and everything, even from way, way, way back in the day with that phone number call in and listen to it, which I still get.
Yeah.
It's just all made sense. And me personally, I cannot follow something or ascribe to something that does not make absolute sense to me. I can't do it. That's why I
I
never
don't
call
blame you.
myself Shia. I never call myself Sunni
Yeah.
or that.
Never
Um,
call yourself anything except a Muslim. That's what Allah calls you in the Quran. That should be sufficient. As soon as you start adding titles like Muslim's not good enough, I have to say and then they even put the word before the word Muslim. I'm a Sunni Muslim. And people don't say I'm a Muslim who happens to be Sunni. They say I'm a Sunni Muslim. I'm a Shia Muslim. So you're making Shia more important than Muslim, and that's a no-no. See, there are a lot of corrections that need to be made for Muslims in the Muslim world. And the beautiful thing is that when a Muslim hears this, he or she can accept it or reject it. It doesn't matter to me what your choices are. That's your responsibility. And you'll have to pay the price for not having acknowledged it when it came to you. Because if it came to you through this broadcast or any other way, Allah sent it to you. It's not Benjamin Bilal sending it to you. I don't even know you're listening.
right.
So you got to think about that. If you're hearing it, Allah is sending this information to you.
And
So let's move on a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
that's why this is so important. 'Cause like you say in the Quran, Iqra, proclaim and or we
Yes.
have to. It's our job as Muslims. You can be going off on Christian and stuff and everything, but you're wasting your time. We're Muslim, and not
Yeah.
that you're wasting your time, but your time could be better invested. And the more you understand
Yes.
the system of knowledge, this Nugnetics enables you to really understand where you're coming from. And when you're coming from a place of understanding, you're on that middle ground and you're calm and you're confident with what you're putting out there because a child, if I know if my grandfather was here, God rest his soul, he would get this and be like, okay, and I know. Give me
Hmm.
more.
Because he's a natural man.
Yes, it's fitra.
They've been spending the last few generations making the average person, especially in this part of the world, making him and her unnatural. Everything we do, what we eat is unnatural. The way we dress is unnatural. Look at the average young woman in our community. She's dressing in a way that nature doesn't support. Nature, when it finds something valuable, it covers it up. It's hard to get to. Am I right or wrong?
No, that is true. You're not gonna
When
find
it's
enough.
when it's valuable, when it has little or no value, you can go out there and get that. You can pull that thing off the tree, eat it if you dare. It might poison you. You can find all of the things that are detrimental to life easily accessible out here.
That is
You
so
can make
true.
a mistake and touch some poison ivy, but you
Don't
can't
say
make you can't make a mistake and just bend down and pick up a gold nugget. You got to work for that.
Or
A
pearl.
diamond, you got to wait 1,000 years. Yeah, pearl, all the way out in the ocean, in the middle of some creature that you got to then open up. You got to go through all of these changes to get to the valuable stuff. So why are our girls out here in the world making themselves so easily accessible? And not only accessible in the way they used to, but they used to make themselves accessible to a young boy. Now our girls are making themselves accessible to other girls like themselves.
The
And if
breaking.
you say something about that lifestyle, you're wrong. They are right. The young boys now want to be flamboyant, for lack of so I won't call them something offensive. I just call them flamboyant. Our little teenage boys, they come out and just all of the gestures of the girls, what, turning their heads like the, well, you can't tell me, child, and well, boom, boom, what? My 14-year-old? Heck no.
And that's a
And
break
I'm
in the.
not saying this, I ain't trying to start nothing. I'm just trying to show you that the entire world now needs to get back to common sense. Hell, Islam is a common sense deen. You don't have to jump through hoops to get the understanding. All you got to do is do what the Quran says, like you mentioned earlier. You have to think, you have to ponder. Do they not yatadabbaru al-Quran? Do they not deeply consider, deeply ponder the Quran? For if it had been from other than Allah, min dunillah, you would have found within it many discrepancies.
In my 55 years of living, I have not found one.
No, I
One.
found things that I question, and I normally find that when I go deeper in questioning it, I was wrong. I was questioning a translation that was wrong.
Mhm.
So I never question what the Quran itself is saying. I only say to myself, well, I don't have the understanding of that yet. Let me look a little deeper. But there are certain blatant English translations where I have to say, Allah could never have said that like that. And
Right.
when I investigated further, I found out that I'm right. He would never have said what they said he said. That's a class all unto itself. What
Mhm.
they said, Allah said that Allah didn't say. That's the title of a class right there. That lasts a semester.
That's like a 10-volume book.
Oh man, is that all? Yeah.
Right.
All right, let me push this further down the track because we going somewhere here. All right, let's get rid of some of this so we don't become too congested here. But we want to keep all of this so when you read the Quran, you'll be understanding what is being said by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The reason why Rajel, a word that we didn't put down, it means or is connected to the idea of legs or legs plural. The reason why it's connected is because there's something in the human mind. See, this is speaking about properties of the human mind and what the mind is capable of doing. If it weren't for a functioning mind, you would not hold the value that Allah places upon you as your responsibility if your mind were not working correctly. And in order for the mind to work correctly, you have to have the two legs of what are called moral and rational thinking. Those are the two legs that are operating in every human being's mind, whether they be male or female. You're able to think morally in terms of what is right and wrong, good and bad, clean and filthy. Every human mind, no matter what the gender, is capable of thinking on that level. And therefore, in the Quran, when Allah mentions Rajel, he's not talking just about males. That's a term that can easily fit the female as well. And it can be proven in the Quran in certain ayat that he's not using this to mean men only. He's using it to mean human thinkers only. Human beings that choose to make progress forward one step at a time. You get it? But the first step has to be moral. In the army, as you know, they say left,
Mhm.
left, left, right, left, right. They start you out on the left because the left represents the moral side. Why does the left represent the moral side? Because that's the first instruction that children come into when they start to grow intellectually. The first teaching they get is what's right and wrong. Don't touch that, Johnny. That's bad. That'll hurt you. Don't eat that, Susie. So they learn morals, moral teachings first. And then once they get a lock on the moral teachings and they need to know how to start applying that information, that moral logic, then they start to take steps with the right foot, which means I need to learn how to apply this now. Implementation is the second leg. First leg is figuring it out morally. Is this good for me? Is this bad for me? Is this going to hurt me? Is this going to help me? Once you figure that out, right around the time you leave your toddlerhood or maybe become 5, 6, 7 years old, start thinking a little bit on your own and that kind. Now it's time to take the second step with the right leg, not literally, in the mind we're talking about. Okay? So that's how human beings make progress forward. So when Allah says, "Ar-rijalu qawwamuna ala an-nisa," he's saying that the moral and rational thinkers are to be supported, maintained, and protected. Pardon me, they are to be the moral protectors. Allah, not of or with, no. Allah over and nisa. They're translating it as the men are to be the maintainers and protectors of the woman or over the women. No, the thinkers, the moral and rational thinkers are the leaders of the world. They are the men, so to speak, the thinkers. Man means mind. They're to be the moral and rational protectors, supervisors. Use whatever word you want for kawamun. You know, kawamun is from kaum, which means to stand. So this aspect of society are the ones who are creating these standards. They are the creators of standards in the society. You don't depend on the flip-flop people to establish a standard. And people say, listen, this is what I stand upon and this is what I will die upon. That's the kind of people you need in leadership, not the wishy-washy flip-floppers. You're this one day because your friend is in it. You're something different the next day because your girlfriend joined it. And you know, you got too many characters in your one self. You can't, no. So you have to find leadership in the world that's not wishy-washy, flippy-floppy like you are. You go with the people who are people of standards. And ala means on top of. I don't know why they don't ever translate that the way it is, because they know it would make them sound sexist and chauvinist to say that the men are the maintainers and the protectors over the women. They know how that sounds, but it only sounds wrong because it is wrong the way they're translating it. Stop saying men, stop saying women. And Isa does not mean the women. And Isa, in one sense, is referring to your emotionality.
That part.
Mhm. So the Rajel, the moral and rational thinkers, are to be the supervisors over the emotionality. Doesn't that sound perfectly correct? And it
100,
applies to males and females alike.
100%.
Yeah. And then Allah tells you why the Rijal are the regulators. They're the ones to make things regular. They're the ones to be regal. They're the ones to be the Rijal. He tells you why. He said, because Allah gave them something a bit above what he gave the other one. If that's not common sense that Allah gave the people who like to think and ponder and break things down so that they can understand the nuances in the thing, he gave those people a bit of superiority over the emotional people. You got the emotional people out there right now protesting, shooting at Teslas with their dumb selves. They shooting at Tesla car. What did a Tesla car do to you? You taking a chance at killing somebody. These people have lost their minds.
Very
And
much
I
so.
don't mean on one political side of the fence. They're losing their minds all over the world. In the same way that the racist Ku Klux Klansman lost his mind during the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, coming into the 70s. He lost his mind also, thinking that our complexion made us his natural enemy and that God made us to be partially devils or demons or whatever. You know, black people are from Satan. They called him the Black Satan.
Mhm.
And it was the message of Elijah Muhammad that shocked them back into reality because he flipped the script on them and said, "You people are the devil." The white man, so-called created man, is the devil. Even those in the wombs of them, Elijah went off on these people.
He didn't play.
No, he didn't play, but he still wasn't right. He still wasn't correct, fitrah wise.
Right.
You can't just flip the script on a scheme and think that it's okay. And he realized that in his last few years, where he told his people to start respecting the white man, start respecting his achievements, and work with him to achieve success in America. See, Minister Farrakhan and others, they didn't give the people that message, his last message.
Mhm.
They gave them the message from the 50s, 54, 54, 62, 71, but they didn't give them that 1974 message of Elijah Muhammad, his last speech.
Stayed with the old language.
They had to because they wanted to keep up the old scheme. And I know there are people in our class who follow Minister Farrakhan. May Allah bless them, continue to bless them. And please, they've stayed with me this long. They must be thinkers
Mhm.
because anybody else would have just got emotional and so he's talking about my leader. He's talking about, what if I was to talk about Wallace? Talk about Wallace. I don't, everything I have to say about Wallace D. Muhammad is not laudatory necessarily. I believe he made some mistakes. I'm making mistakes. I admit when I make them, oh, I shouldn't have said it like that. I shouldn't have done it like that. And Imam Muhammad made acknowledgments about where he went wrong or where he said something that wasn't correct for that time. What kind of foolish human being would say that I'm never wrong? I don't make mistakes. Now you want people to start worshiping that person because you want them to think that he never goes wrong. He never makes a mistake. Only Allah is perfect. And it keeps your soul human to be able to admit that my mother said something wrong to me. But do I have to say my mother said something wrong to me and therefore I hate her? And therefore you should never listen to anything she has to say? No, I'd be stupid to do that. My children say about me, Dad, no, man, I don't think you're right. I don't, that doesn't make sense to me. The way you said that, he says that we love him, man, and we love and hug and kiss. And I say, well, you be the your way. I play with him. You be the your way, and I be the my way. My way or the highway, son. I can't say that to him. We love each other more when we're honest with each other like that. So
And
I
that's what
say reevaluate everything that people are telling you and also reevaluate everything you're telling yourself because not all of that is correct. We're just humans among the mortals that Allah has created according to the Qur'an.
Alhamdulillah.
And you cannot be afraid of criticism. That's what Allah says. Who do not fear the criticism of those who criticize. That keeps you human, my friend. And the first critic you should be looking for is the one inside your own head. You know what they say about pointing at somebody? You got one finger pointed out and
Mhm.
three pointed back at you and the thumb testifying to heaven.
Uh, Okay.
Yeah, you see it?
Took it a step. Okay, you took it a step deeper there.
Yes. Yeah. Allah
Hmm.
put these signs in your fitrah. So you'd have no excuses. He said your hands will testify against you in the judgment.
Yeah.
Your
Finger.
feet. Yeah. Your feet will pop up and start telling Allah about how you went toward that whole house. How you went toward the liquor store when you told everybody you gave up drinking. Your feet will testify again. Your mouth won't be able to say nothing, but your feet will say, Allah, yes, I did get up that day. He made me go to the liquor store. He made my hands pull out money to buy the, a fifth of scotch or whatever they buy. I've never drank, so I don't know what the measurements are. But he made me do that. I didn't do that on my own. I don't have a brain, Allah. I'm like the scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz. I didn't, I didn't do it. Isn't this wonderful?
It is. It is.
To give you control over yourself for the first time. That's what Allah is doing, making us responsible. He's making us Khalifa. So let me end you on that word, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay? All right. You're gonna really enjoy this. Okay. Khalifa. You're probably putting it together for yourself as I'm speaking. Yeah. Let's go to Bakar. Okay. Some people put an H after that to feminize it. That's fine. Now, the first thing I want the Arabic speaking people to realize is that when you have three words, or pardon me, when you have three letters in a row that are all given the fatha vowel, like ba, ba, ra, that makes that thing a verb, not a noun. This is how every verb in the Arabic language, look in the dictionary, Lane's Lexicon or Dictionary of the Holy Qur'an or whatever, look at the verbal roots for any word in Arabic. Most of them, with just a few exceptions, are going to be fatha, 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 open mouth sounds. So ba, ka, ra. In the case of Khalifa, it would be kha, la, tha. In the case of Rajel, it would be ra, ja, la. You get it? For all of the words that you come across it, with the exception of very few. With Iblis, it's going to be ba, la, sa. So what makes that different than ba, ka, ra? It's not different. Bakara is not a cow. It's not a person, place, or thing as a noun. Even the word Adam in the Quran is Adama. It's a verb. It's not a noun. What do we mean by verb? It's an action word. This is an action. It's not something for you to gaze upon with your eyes. It's an action. So let's look at this. And it's also feminine, as you know. It's feminine. So what does that have to do with Khalifa? The kha, that letter kha, K-H-A sound, kha, is a guttural from the throat. And it interchanges with the qaf in Bakara, with the Q sound. The kha and the qaf are from the same category of the mouth called guttural, the throat area. Could be the front of the throat, could be deep in the throat, like like you're trying to get rid of something out of the back of your throat. It could be jim, which is right in the front of the throat. Yeah, yeah. But they're all gutturals. There are 7 categories of sound pronunciation in the human mouth. 7, not 17, not 70,000, only 7. No matter how many letters there are in any language, all of those languages are producing sounds of letters from only 7 departments of the mouth. So you have kha, guttural, you have qaf, guttural, you have lam, liquid, you have ra, liquid, you have ba, labial, lips, you have fa, labial, lips. So khalafa or khalifa and bakara share underlying themes, not meanings necessarily, themes. They mean 2 different things, but underneath those meanings are going to be tied descriptions for what they are, what they do. Now, this is a challenge to the entire Muslim world of Quranic thinkers. Your brain is getting turned on right now to a whole new method of science when it comes to linguistics and studying. This study, to my knowledge, has not been done anywhere in the world yet. It's beginning with us. But it's a you keep looking around, keep reading around, keep Googling and see if there's anybody who's doing comparative analysis of Arabic letters on the level that Nunetics is presenting it. I haven't found it yet. I'm hoping to find it so they can increase what I know about it, but I haven't found it yet.
If you want to find it, look up Instructor Benjamin Bilal.
Oh, that guy goes again. Maybe he is somebody I need to look into.
He will blow your
But I'm
mind.
so thankful,
Your mind. He's not going to blow it up, but he's going to expand your mind.
inshallah, as long as you pay attention to what he's saying. And I'm so thankful that Allah has blessed me, a guy from New York City, projects, Douglas houses, projects. I didn't even grow up in a house. I grew up in the projects. You know what I'm saying? Street dude who was never interested in the street. Man from a big family, boy, from a pretty sizable family who was never interested in just hanging out and being one of the boys. I was always interested in learning. As far back as my mind could go, I was reading dictionaries. I don't remember when I started reading dictionaries. I was reading dictionaries for sport. I was never interested and would not have ever been interested in playing games like Game Boy and whatever else they were playing. I played simple games that we played that were communal, that we had to play together. I was never into playing anything that I remember by myself. That came later. Toys that they were inventing so you could just be by yourself and play. That came much later. We were out there playing Black Crow 1, 2, 3, and tag, whatever we were playing when I was a young guy and a teenager. They were all things that you had to play with at least one other person. Tag. But
All
then they
social.
switched, huh? Yeah, they were all social, but they flipped the script because they wanted to bleed out our social nature. Are you going to make one who's going to make mischief and shed the blood? That's the Khalifa, isn't it? That's the questions the angels asked Allah. Are you going to make one who's going to make mischief, fasad, and shed the dam, the adama, the blood, the social nature? Are you going to do something that's going to corrupt the human being's social nature? Is that what this guy is all about that you're creating? You're creating an independent guy, independent from our angelic training. And what did Allah say? He didn't say,
Know,
no, I wasn't going to do that. What did he say again?
know that what you do not know.
That's right. And that still holds true, doesn't it? Allah knows what we don't know. In other words, if Allah didn't want to be so tactful, he would have said, just shut your mouth and do what I told you to do. He could have said that too, he's Allah.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, who are you questioning me about what I'm doing, about my business? You don't even have, look at the Iblis guy that's leading you guys. You don't even have him in check. How you gonna put me in check for what I'm doing? He could have said that.
But then that's a testament to also because we know angels, they just do. They don't have free will, but yet, and that's something that just cleared up for me right now. They question Allah, and it's not
Yeah.
that oh my God, you question God. No, you're supposed to, and God and be He's patient with you, just like you're patient with your child. If you're a good parent, no matter what they ask you, okay, let me answer you.
The angel in you has a right to ask questions. The angels in the fitra, they have to keep their lips zipped. They don't have any authority, any power to ask Allah anything according to the Qur'an. According to the Quran, the malaika, the angels cannot question. They do as they are commanded. You got that? So if you hear an angel in the Quran asking Allah a question or questioning something Allah asked them to do, just know that that's not the angel per se. That is the angelic forces inside of humans who were tricked into believing that they were angels. I hope you follow that.
Oh,
These these beings were human beings. Iblis, the jinn, was in the form of human beings with human capacity for thinking, but their level of mental concentration was on the level of those in the fitrah who are Allah calls angels and that sort, meaning they cannot, they slipped, in other words. And when Allah checked them, they immediately shut up. They didn't have any more questions because they knew they were wrong for even questioning. But they weren't angels like lightning and thunder are angels like light. Allah calls light an angel. Nur. These are things that can't say no to Allah when He commands them to do something. They follow Allah's amr. Amr is the same force when you take it out of the fitrah, out of nature, and put it in your human body. It's your instincts. And your instincts are being followed by you automatically. It doesn't ask you, are you ready to go, relieve yourself in the, no, you sit there long enough with the urge to have to relieve yourself, the command is going to be fulfilled. You'll be sitting in the mess wondering what happened. You got to go to the bathroom. You better get up and go to the bathroom because that's your body commanding you. Those are angels inside of you that are commanding you. Allah said it's time to go. So you make a way with your intellect to excuse yourself or whatever, squeeze your legs together, whatever you got to do. But you better hold on because the commander is speaking now, called the Amr. The Amir in you is speaking.
So then that would be of the three nefs, nefs al amara.
You're right on it.
So
La Amara.
amara.
Nefsin la Amara. And that la in la Amara intense, that's the lamb of intensification. It makes it intense. So that means that your commanding nature is not to be played with. When you have to blink, you have to blink. When you have to salivate, you have to salivate. When you have to blow your nose, you have to, because those are commandments in you. Those are angels in you. That's why I meant, that's what I said when that's what I meant when I said that these angels are also in you. And the instinctive nature works best when it is unimpeded by higher thinking. You have those three levels of thinking. You know what they are. The three levels of the brain.
The Maina is the and the oh my gosh, the amara and the lawama.
Yeah, you had lawama, nefsin al-lawama, nefsin mutmaina, and the first one was nefsin la, probably, no, I'm sorry, first to three. Nefsin la-amara, that's the first one, the amir in you.
Uh-huh.
Nefsin lawama, that's not, I didn't say that first, right? I said
No, you're correct.
la-amara, lawama, and mutmaina. Yeah, so those are the three.
And just to show you how Spanish always, because that's the first language I learned, always influenced a lot. It's an artist. She calls herself Amara La Negra because she's a
Yeah,
dark skin. I think she's Dominican or something like that.
yeah,
But the same words, but then of course many words in Spanish came from Arabic. So
yes, absolutely. So you have La Amara, that's giving you that's the commanding soul, commanding nafs. Then you have Lawama. Lawama gave us the English word lemon. You know why? Because
and
that's the part of the soul that likes to question things. It's not quite sure that it should do that. Like you eating a lemon, if you watch the face of the person eating the lemon, you see he's eating it. He's eating it, but he's eating it like he's not quite sure it's going to agree with him. It's kind of bitter or sour, whatever the word is. So he's cautious. That's the cautionary level of the soul. He does something and then he gets the wrong reaction first, and he said, "Wow, should I keep doing this? Should I keep doing it because they said do it? My gang banging buddy said we need to go and rob somebody or steal some old lady's purse." and his lawama brain starts to kick in. Unless you put some sugar with that lemon, man, you got to make lemonade to like that to just drink that like that. And then mu'maina is the part of the soul that has reached a level of operation that has become pleasing to Allah. He's not questioning like he did when he was in the lawama stage. He's done this so often, and the results that he has gotten has proved to him that Allah is pleased with his decisions and his actions, that he's primed now for Jannah. So Allah says to that level of the soul, enter ye, right? My Jannah among my workers, my ibad. That if you ain't working, you ain't never gonna get there.
Not slaves.
No. And then they mistranslate it as pleased and well pleasing. But that's a corrupted translation. So to conclude, let's make these remarks. Remember, these three categories, guttural, liquid, labial, are referring to things that split or that separate. Split or separate. You might say, well, how does that apply to Rajel? How does that apply to legal? How does that apply to royal people? How does that apply to regulators? Well, if the Rajel represents those movers and shakers in society that lay down legislation, the legislators, that's a natural separation from the people who don't do that. Majority of the people in the society, they don't make laws. They follow laws.
Duh.
Rajel refers to legs, and that's where they get the word legislate. They are legislators. They move the society forward step by step by step. They develop the constitutions and the preambles to the constitutions. Those are steps towards a society, a developing society. So they are the legislators. And the first legislation is the legislation that an adult mind gives to its own self. When you start taking your bath without your mother telling you to, you have become a legislator. When you start going to bed because you know you got to get up the next day and you're tired, you excuse your company or leave the house of the friend you're at and I got to go home and get some rest and I got to go to work in the morning. That's you legislating your own life. You don't have to be in a political position. You don't have to be in the mayor's office or the president's or the governor's seat. Or no, the individual, whatever Allah put in the Qur'an is for every individual. So you are legislating your own concerns with your legs of moral and rational thinking. If you wake up the next day or the next week and you haven't seen your life move forward, you're not legislating because your legs are supposed to take you forward. When you look at the ancient pictures of the pharaohs in ancient Egypt, you know what I'm about to say. You look at their pictures, you always see them with legs extended. Yeah, they're moving forward. And if you look at it carefully, you're going to see that most of the time, the left leg is in the front. It's the first leg moving. Very few depictions have the Egyptian person with his legs together, standing straight up, like Thoth, those characters. Very few depictions have the legs kind of tied together. It's always a process. Step one, step two, followed again by step one, step two. When we talk about this Khalifa, they translate that as custodian. I am in the process of making a custodian fil ard. That's another hint. This is taking place not on the earth, fi al ard, in the earth. What earth is this speaking to? The human brain. Your human brain. is also the earth. Your human heart is also the earth, as it is given in El Qur'an. The cave that's spoken of in what is it, Surah 18, I believe? El Kahf, another consonantally connected word. Kahf, I think it's transliterated. It's connected also to Khalifa. How beautiful this is.
When you
And
understand it.
yeah, and they call that the cave. It's the cave right there between your two shoulders. And there's seven sleepers up there also. You have seven
Well,
chakras. You have seven chakra energies running through your body. If they're asleep, you are for all intents and purposes dead. If they're not activated, you are like a dead person. You got a dog up there in the cave stretching forward his paws, his Pause, because he can't run with his legs stretched out like that. He's got a pause if he's stretching, and you stretch mostly after you've had a good night's sleep. Hence the sleepers. It's talking about what's going on in your intellect.
well, for time's sake, I'm gonna do some research and get back to you on the Kelb thing, the dog being in there, because
Please
you
do. Please do.
calf and the
Please do.
calf. Well, yeah, okay.
And listen, you know that if you take Bakar and do some switcheroos with the letters, you find the word kalb,
Mm,
right? The Q,
that's what
garo.
I'm thinking.
That's right. Kalb, the R interchanges with the L in the kalb and the B. So look at how Allah had, that's why Allah says that it's not even a big book. The Quran, it's not a big book. He says, people used to scratch their heads back in his day when he was teaching. He said, how did he fit all that information into a small book like that? Now I know why. I know how. And I think it has something to do with the science that I'm calling Nunetics and consonantal connections.
It's complete,
Yeah.
completely complete.
So now you got another one to add to the list of connections that Khalifa and Bakara are related to Qalb, QLB, and to many other words. The word cabal in English, same connections. The word
Able.
cable. Yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna have to
Kabbalah.
buy my.
I'm not gonna let your hand rest today. This this Bakara was not an ordinary heifer. Bakara is referring to something that presents itself as being older than it is. You ready for this one? As the finisher, Bakara again represents. Remember now, not a noun, but that doesn't have to be important in this conversation. But it's referring to an action that is representing itself as being older than it is. Just like the Bakara, heifer, presents herself as being older than she is. But the reason why she's not older than she is because she hasn't copulated yet and she hasn't produced a calf of her own. She's still a virgin. And Bakara and Bakir or Bakara, Bakara means virgin.
Hmm. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
or yes. I say yes.
right? You see it? All right. So a virgin what? A virgin mind, a virgin thinker that has made the mistake of believing that it is greater than, our children are in the imaginations.
Hmm.
It's what Beyonce is doing with her daughter right now, exploiting her. Girl can't be more than 15 something years old, 16, wearing shorts and short dresses and mini skirts and fake hair and all of the fake eyelashes. And all. She's dressing her daughter up to look older than she is. That's the Bakar, my friend, in the world.
Her
Allah forbid
sacrifice.
anything. Yeah, it is a sacrifice. Isn't that what you do with meat? That's what they call it in scripture, sacrifices on the offering, a burnt offering. So this Bakara was so exploited that Musa had to be sent to tell them that she got to go. You got to kill this one. You got to put an end to this one's activities. And then they pretended like they didn't know what the heck he was talking about. What do you mean? What Bakara? Where? Who is it? Yeah. And he said several things. I'm going to see if you can remember them in order. I think the first one was the question pertaining to how old she was. And Musa said what I've been telling you throughout this conversation, that she is not too old and not too young. And when he says too young, he uses the word bikr, virgin. See the connections Allah keeps making in the same story? She's not an old cow, dried up, useless. And she's not the one who just got here and is trying to figure out what to do, where to go, who to be around. She's right there in the middle. Like I told you about the Middle Ages. These are not new people to the earth, but they haven't been here long enough to figure out what ancient Egypt figured out and what ancient Samaria figured out and what ancient Mesopotamia figured out. They haven't been there that long. America, you just got here. You're only two, as Imam Muhammad said, you're only 2 years old when we were celebrating the bicentennial. He said, America is 2 years old,
Yeah.
just starting to think for herself, walk for herself, talk with her own mouth. That's where we are. Don't look around at America. We're only 200 and something years old, 250, 225. I don't know how many years we are from the bicentennial. This is a young nation. This is not 5,000, 7,000 year old Egypt. We're
And they're
still trying to
going
get
through
our
all
sea legs. Hmm?
exactly. They're going
Yeah.
through all the growth that all the other countries already went through. And that's
Yes.
why they look at us like, bless their heart. The kids acting up again.
Yeah. But it's what makes America special still, even though people don't like to admit that. There are many people who want to believe that America is on her way out. She ain't no good. She's corrupt. She's the devil. She's gonna fall, the fall of America. That's what a lot of people believe because they don't understand the patterns that Allah uses to tell his divine stories. If we think that Allah keeps bringing societies into birth just to take them out because they practice some wickedness or some evil, we don't think much of Allah. Allah said he was going to establish his Khalifa fil ard. And when they questioned him, he said, I know what you don't know. So that's where I am. What's going to happen to America? Allah knows what we don't know. I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to try and tell you what Allah's going to do with America. With all of this good that's here, all of these family relationships that are here, all of these racial attempts at equality and working together that the religions are making now. The Jews are working with the Muslims, who are working with the Christians, who are working with the Protestants, who are working with the this and that. The so-called blacks working with the so-called whites on different projects, I'm going to say that Allah's going to wipe out all of this good because America did some evil things in her young innocence. Because there was somebody exploiting America who wasn't even from America. I'm not going to name the people, but they were, and still are, exploiting America from another land, using up our resources to do it, being taken care of by American force. And what people don't, I hate to say this because I know some people are going to have a problem with this. Most people do not understand Mr. President Trump and what his role is right now. It has nothing to do with whether you like him, love him, or hate him. It has to do with what Allah is doing to and in America.
Mhm.
And Allah tells you how he will use people He used one enemy against another enemy if it pleases him. If that's his strategy, you can't do anything about that. If you look at how many times he should have been dead already in the last 5 years, last 4 or 5 years, he should have been out of here. The gunshot to the ear wasn't the first attempt on his life. Now, that shouldn't make you say, I'm going to be a Trumper or I'm going to be what do you call it? Make America Great, a MAGA. You don't have to be all of that. But you should be wise enough to read the signs that Allah is leaving here for you. Trump could be here just maybe another year, and that's it. And then some other force comes in that was being primed for the next go at leadership. We don't know, is what I'm saying. And that's what that's what Allah told the angels. I know and you don't know. So just leave it there. I don't know what this is all about. I'm not going to join one side or the other. I'm just going to stay here and watch. I'm going to be one of the watchers. Because so-called Black people have been through so many ups and downs and twisted turnarounds that we can't afford to just blindly give our allegiance to anybody right now. Not on that level of I'm going to be your color. That's like gang stuff. I'm going to be a red. I'm going to be a blue. I'm not, no, I'm out of that gang stuff, whether it's politics or street. I don't want to be red or blue. I want to be the combination. I want to be purple. I want to be royal. I want to be Rajel. I want to be Rico. Yeah. I want to be pineal. And it's going to take me a minute to activate that gland. So in the meantime, you guys can fight it out if you want. I'm going to stand here and take notes. So that's my political spiel for right now. Not interested in being a Democrat, not interested in being a Republican. I am interested in being independent, but not an independent thinker. And that's what the Khalifa is, and that's what separates him from the rest. All right. I'm going to bring both of us back and I'll finish my points here. That this what made the Bakar separate from other Bakaras was his color. They asked Musa, they said, what color is she? You can't identify her. All Bakaras look alike to us. Isn't that what they said about us?
Yeah.
And that's what they said, what nigga are you talking about? All niggas look alike to us. They say that about the Asians now, right? The Chinese. All of them, yeah, whatever they call them, negative names, kinks, ginks, or whatever they call chinks or whatever. You all look alike. Who are you talking about? Billy Bo Bob? Who are you talking about? And you know they're doing it as a jester, as a joke, when they say that all us one people look alike, all of one thing looks alike. No, that means that now you have to hone in your vision, your ability to study something, and you have to start looking for the details. When somebody tells you they all look alike, not even what do they call those twins that are exactly alike?
Identical.
Identical, yeah.
Ident-
Yeah. Not even identical. The mother will tell you. The father would be sitting back scratching his head. Which one is Karen and which one is Sharon? You know, I mean, the mother was saying, you don't know by now that that's Karen. And the father would say, well, how do you know that? Well, she's got a little mole. You know, she knows what everything is. She studies
Mhm.
that baby. She smells that baby. She looks at that baby. She takes pictures of this baby. She's with this baby. She knows who might be a little taller. You know, the mother's going to know that. So it means that you have to pay better attention. And the more attention you pay, the more expansive the information is going to become. So that's one question that was asked. He wanted a description of what the cow looked like. He wanted to know what was the other two questions. I'm forgetting a little of the story. Uh,
Color and I mean it was a list and
yeah, what color? No, there were three questions he asked, only three. And then he said,
oh,
well, what color is she? And that's when
so
he said, uh,
yellow or brownish type.
yeah, a brownish. Yeah, but the important statement there is that he said the admiration of onlookers, and the word that Allah is using, nazira, means that this is something that when you look at it, you can't take your eyes away from it. Like it's like an automobile crash. It's what causes rubbernecking on the other side of the highway. You're on this side of the highway. The accident happened on the other side with traffic going a totally different way. But your side is the side with all of the traffic because everybody's too busy rubbernecking, looking at the accident. And you can't help it. When you hear a crash, what do you normally? You run to the window, you run to the porch, you run and you want to know, is that anybody I know? Was anybody hurt? Is there anybody I can help? That's the word that's being used for this Bakara. That's not an ordinary Bakara. That's what the Ohio players was it? No. Who was that song? That's what say here Bilal goes with his songs. That's what the Commodores called a brick house. That's the kind of girl who they called a brick house. Mighty, letting it all hang out. That's not the average girl. That's the heifer. That's the heifer walking around in the hot pants or whatever we used to call them back in the 70s. Shorty
Mm-hmm.
shorts, the mini skirt, breasts before the time of her actual blooming. You know, she's 14. She's looking like she's 18 and 20. Curvy hips. You ain't supposed to have that when you're 12 years old and 13 years old. The admiration of all onlookers. She sure certainly is. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
these brothers can't turn their attention away from her. I've seen them do it in front of their girlfriends and wives. Literally, almost really break their necks when they think their wife is not looking. You know, when she passes by, they look at their wife, they see their wife not looking at them, and they you can feel the crick in their neck. You can hear it. Yeah, oh man. So that's the heifer. It's not an ordinary heifer, is my point. It's not an ordinary growth spurt. It's not an ordinary thing put in the path for you to gaze upon. The Baqarah also represents a particular level of information that's pouring out into the society. And that information is intended to keep us separated from each other. That's the purpose of that information. And one of the telltale signs that this information is intended to keep us separated from each other is related to color. We call it racism in our world. Racism. Why would they be asking what color is she? And then when he gave the answer, they knew that he was on to them. He was in close pursuit of their scheme because of the answer he gave. He gave a word that gave a word that is close to the meaning of like golden colored. The Bible says red heifer. The Quran says saffron. These are the differences. In the Bible right now, they call that special heifer a red heifer. And you know we're dealing with the chakras, and the red is the root, the one
Mm-hmm.
that's controlling the materialism and the sexuality, all that is down there in the first couple of chakras. But the Quran came and said it's saffron, saffrao. It's the Arabic word, but it means what saffron means. It means like a golden color. It's got a few colors in there. It's kind of mixed like us as a people. You know, we're not all light skinned, we're not all dark skinned, we're not all middle. We got most of us are pretty much in the middle, the
Don't all
middling.
look.
No, we don't. So then finally, the followers of Moses gave up. They said, oh, okay, you got it, partner. We don't want to ask you any more questions. You're going to peep our whole card. So Moses said, so do what you have been commanded. And it says they went ahead and did it, but it wasn't really in their heart to do it. And that's how Allah leaves the story. Yeah, they did it, but they really didn't have a passion for getting rid of racism. You know, they didn't really have a passion for not exploiting the public. They didn't have a passion for taking all of these weird ideas out of circulation. LGBTQ, XYZ. Yeah, they didn't really have a passion for dismantling all of that. But they knew that if they kept it up, Allah was going to reveal their whole scheme. And their whole scheme goes beyond gayness. It goes beyond the lesbian agenda. Those are just the people who are caught up in the middle of it because they don't know how to regulate their own energies. They have been denied the information related to the purpose of things in this life. So they mix up the purpose and this is for this is for that. And then you get to the courts and you ask them, what is a woman? And the woman judge says, I don't know. Simple question
That's
like that. What, huh?
and
Isn't
that's
that
sad.
something? Yeah, that's terrible.
You a woman.
A, a judge? Yeah, but you know what one young lady said? She said, they asked her, they said, well, what are you? If you don't know what a woman is from a man, what are you? She said, I'm whatever I want to be at the moment.
So you
She said, I
basically
woke up this morning and I felt like a boy. So I dressed a certain way and therefore I'm a boy. And then I woke up last week and I felt like a girl. So I curled my hair and I did my eyes and I did lipstick and I was a girl that day. And do you believe these people actually believe this stuff? Nobody bothered to ask them, did you look at your genitalia when you took a shower this morning? What did
you
your
believe
body tell you you were? You see what I'm
menstrual
saying?
cramp.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, man, that is one of the sickest agendas that this country has been supporting over the last 3 or 4 years. It's a sick agenda. I feel very sorry for the people who get caught up into that and they don't really know how to untangle themselves from that ideology. But it's because parent leadership has been absent also in this country to the point where an African American father had to take the school board to court because they were supporting the books for grade schoolers that had children in the books committing sexual acts with each other. I mean, gross sexual acts. And when the father started talking about his uh, anger towards those books and what they were doing in the books, and I'm talking about children in the books who were 7 years old, 12 years old, the court, they shut down the session. They said, you can't, you have to stop talking. He was just reading from the book, a book that you can find in the average children's library. And they said, no, you can't teach, you can't say that. How can I not say this here? And you're letting my child read from this book in his third grade class, his sixth grade class. But I can't say it
In
here
public.
in the public. There have to be something wrong with it. But these people can't figure it out because they're not using their akal. They're using their emotions and their passions. And Allah says in the Quran, my last statement, He says, there's no worse creature on earth than the one who has taken his own passions as his God, his own ahwa as his ilah. No worse creature. So understand what you're fighting up against when you go against these ideologies. We're not going up against the people. The people are humans like other humans that Allah has created, but they've been sold a very unfortunate idea. We are intended to be Khalifa. We are intended to be supervisors. We are intended to be navigators. We are intended to be custodians. I accept all of those meanings for the word Khalifa. Khalifa, if you listen and register the sounds of those three letters, fa, la, fa. Fa comes from the back of the throat, like you're trying to expel something. Lam takes the movement upwards to the palate. So now we have the back of the throat, fa, the top of the palate, la, and then it becomes expelled into the public, fa. From the back, fa lifts itself up to the top La, and then sa. That's a movement in the human intellect. So yeah, there's gonna be some bloodshed because that's sa, sa, sa. Yeah, there's gonna be some bloodshed. But the end result of all of that bloodshed is that your human self is going to be elevated. La, la means I love you, right? And then the last stage of it is when it becomes publicized or made public. Fa. We're going through all of that right now because the creation of a Khalifa is still in effect for our situation. We are the new Khalifa, and it's not one person. It's not some leader in Iran. It's the leader of your moral and rational senses coming online. It's happening in the public right now as we speak. A
So then,
Khalifa is being made right now. And it happens every so often in history in different parts of the world at different times of night and day. Khalifas are always being, that word Khalifa is a singular word, but it's a plural word that's given a singular form. Khalifa is a group, it's not an individual, just
so
like the
then
word
that,
Adam. Yeah,
and
speak.
that's why W.D. Muhammad did not appoint a successor
That's
because he said,
correct.
I equipped you all. That what you just said really, really, I mean, it's like I can feel the firecrackers because
Yeah,
mm,
you don't appoint a
that's
Khalifa. Listen, you do not appoint a Khalifa. Allah makes a Khalifa.
mhm,
You can't say my son is going to be, even though Elijah Muhammad did it. He said, my son, he didn't even say that explicitly. He didn't say explicitly, Wallace is the next leader after me. He didn't do that explicitly, meaning in no uncertain terms, written on paper, passed it down. Everybody knew that he was. No, people still argue about that today. He didn't appoint, how do we know he didn't appoint Farrakhan? You said some things about Farrakhan. How do we know he didn't support, he didn't appoint Silas Muhammad? He was in his office. He said some nice things about him. We can't just say it's Wallace because you said it's Wallace. No, circumstances said it's Wallace. And if W.D. Muhammad didn't work out, Allah would have appointed somebody else. He didn't necessarily have to be from that bloodline. Allah does not do things according to bloodline if you understand the story of Ibrahim
mhm,
and what Allah said about Ibrahim. He appointed Ibrahim, and Ibrahim asked Allah the question. He said, what about my progeny? And Allah said, yeah, your progeny can become leaders too. He said, but not any from among the wrongdoers. So if W.D. Muhammad had been a wrongdoer, Allah would have snatched it from him.
yeah,
He would have never come into it, not the way he wanted to. And the ones who stepped into it because they wanted it, the ones who chased it, they're in trouble even today. I couldn't name any names.
yeah,
One or two of them around here now just begging for reparations. That's their whole agenda. They don't forgot about the knowledge part. They don't forgot about the Qur'an part, the connection to the wisdom part. Every speech I read from this person, and I looked at this just yesterday, he's just begging for reparations. He wants Farrakhan and WD's community, all these communities to come together so we can have a united effort at begging the government for reparations. That tells you how much he's hurting. Anyway, there's more to be said, my friend, but we'll do it at another time.
okay. And then I want to put it because we'll talk again about it, but then like the third time, the third, because I would looked it up while we're talking about the third question. But it says the cow that neither trained to plow the earth nor to irrigate the field, free from fault with no spot on her.
That's the one I was missing. That's right.
So
So you have the idea of water there. You have the idea of soil there.
mhm.
That's two of the four major elements. That's your homework. But all of it is dealing with the human intellect. All of it is dealing with the human being's ability to register moral and rational ideas. That's the most important part of those stories. How Allah is appealing throughout the Quran to the human being's moral and rational perception. I would venture to say that all of the Quran is based on those themes.
Indeed.
Water is the morals and the emotions. Earth is the land that must be uh, protected also by the earth, or pardon me, not the earth, the air, the oxygen. So all four are there, but the two most important are the earth and the water, the land and the water. That's why Allah says He created the man from malleable clay, shapeable clay. You can't shape clay unless clay has a water content. So there are two of your elements right there, water and land, clay. When Iblis enters the picture, he boasts, you created me, minar, from fire. So now you got a third element. You got the Adam, he's sitting over there made of water mixed with clay. Now you got Iblis, he's sitting over on the other side telling you that he was created from nar, from fire. But what would happen if you took a bowl and put it over Iblis's head? What would happen to his fire if you deprived it of oxygen?
Wow.
Just like that. So Iblis was telling you about his fire nature, but he was not telling you about his air nature. Air is spirit. So he wasn't just fire, he was fire mixed with spirit, and spirit in symbolism represents influence. Listen to this high science before you go today. Spirit, fire, we know represents passions, emotions, fire, high, emotions, right? But what is driving the fire is the air. That's what's keeping the fire burning. You put a bowl over the candle goes out immediately. And air, as I said, as Imam Muhammad has said, air represents influence, invisible influences. So now you're talking about sciences like subliminal seduction. This is how they rule people. This is the real jinn and how the jinn rules people. It's not some spooky thing, some spirit in your bathroom or something like that, or whatever. Yeah. It's talking about people who have dedicated themselves to the level of their passions. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Save us from the torment of the fire. But what fire? The fire of our lower passions. Your lower passions can only burn if you allow the oxygen content to stay present. And the oxygen is the influence. You keep letting these forces influence yourself and your children, then that jinn will remain alive in and around and after you. You deprive these things of their influences, fire goes out immediately. You can be like Ibrahim. You be in the fire and won't burn up.
Pneumatics.
Yeah, man.
And we thinking, oh, save us from hellfire. No, it's common sense.
Yes,
Science.
indeed. It's science. That's right. It's fit for science. So
You
if you
really
want to
not
know,
want to
you people out there who might be looking at this, if you want to know how to get into the fire and not burn up, follow what we're saying. All you got to do is stop allowing those influences in your house that are responsible for the burning. Deny them the
um,
influences. How are you going to deny the alcoholic his alcohol? How are you going to say it's okay if you drink now? Go ahead, you're an alcoholic. How are you going to deny him the ability to be a drunk? You have to deny him his influence. And then you have to teach him in a way which makes him self-regulate himself. Say, I'm going to, on my own, I'm going to just stop drinking. I can't, it's messing up my life. If you can't destroy that influence, and remember, it's an invisible influence. Air is invisible. You can feel it, but you can't necessarily see it. You can only see what it is affecting, the trees. You can't see the air, but you can see the air pushing on the tree or blowing the winds and the leaves off of the tree. This is the nunetic science that your grandbaby can understand. I had to take him out to the park. Show him. We got like a mid-level tornado coming through here now. Just take my 7-year-old out and see. You see those leaves, maybe see how the tree is bending with the yeah, Grandpa. Well, where's the air? Describe the air to me. I can't see it. That's the point. There are things that will work on your life that you can't see, but that have heavy influence on you. That same air can lift that tree out of the ground if it's strong enough
Mhm.
and displace it. So humans are becoming displaced based on influences that they can't see. They can only feel them. Let's get to work, man. Genetics has a long road ahead of it.
I'm gonna
All right.
definitely teach this because he needs a lot of this. And I got some surprises for you later on.
Okay.
You're gonna enjoy it.
I got you. All right, man. I enjoyed my time with you. I hope I didn't overtalk you,
No,
but I
really.
want to make sure I covered the bases.
Listen, you keep playing with me. I call my job right now.
And tell them you're on your way to Bilal's house.
Exactly. You know,
It's
something
working
came
out,
up.
man. Hey, you let me know when you're off. I'll be here waiting for you.
Well, we got a lot of stuff to do. A lot of
All
stuff
right.
to do.
All right.
And
I
I'm
love
hungry.
a
All right,
learner
bless.
and an instructor like you. I love you, man. I love you. I pray for people like you.
I love you just as much because I tell you what, it is just so beautiful because like I say I never know how to cry. This is something that I can just cry about because it's refreshing and it's washing the
Yeah.
soul. It's just,
Yes.
I don't even get upset and be like, well, if I only did it way back in the day, because it's here and now. It's where it's supposed
Yeah.
to be.
Here's the
I mean,
chance.
listen,
That's right. It's where it's supposed to be. And you're where you're supposed to be. I'm where I'm supposed to be.
I still got that. You can't really see it.
It's disappearing the closer you get. I'm not sure what that is.
There, the envelope that you gave me a long time ago, I can't even get it,
All
but I still got it with the phone
right.
number on. And it
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, I see it now. Yeah. With
But
the old True Human Radio
it still
information.
works. Still works.
Yeah, I found that out recently. I called it and I said, they still have my lectures on this. Okay.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. And still
Okay.
expect
In
that
fact, what is
we
that number? I need that number. Just read it off to me.
I'll text it to you right now.
712. Yeah, text it to me. 712 something something. Something.
I'll text it to you right now. 'Cause,
Yeah. All right. Good. And
it,
you have the
come
other number
again?
there also? You have the code number or
No.
whatever that is?
Yes, everything.
That's what I need. Okay.
Two of them actually.
Okay. Yeah.
And
And I lost touch with those numbers. And there were some
you should
great
get.
lectures. There were some great lectures back then. Matter of fact, a lot of the blasts from the past that I'm playing on YouTube, they're from that era. Okay, my friend, I'll include that in the YouTube video if I put it up or when I put it up. Oh, you just sent it. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll include that. It'll be in the comment section of the video. Wow. Just did your instructor
Dating.
a solid there. Yeah, I know what to do with the rest of my day now as I work and clean up the house. All
All
right.
right.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you. I
All right.
appreciate you. God bless you. Rest of your day. And
Yes,
get
sir.
some rest.
Inshallah.
Get some. I'm looking. Hold up. Get some rest.
Spell it.
Rest.
All right. Tell me what it
Wait a
means to
minute.
me. I don't know. I don't know. Rest? What is rest? Okay, I got you. And don't call my
All
wife
right.
and put her on me.
I won't do
She
that.
loved nothing better than for me to sit still and just have some me and her time. So I'm going to do that for sure.
Okay.
I'm going to take a few days off and enjoy my wife and my family, my grands, and stay in touch with the family fitra. That's important. The family has a fitra that we need to respect, honor, and not play cheap. because we can wake up on any day, as you just recently found out, and the mother, the father, the sister, the brother, the cousin, the uncle, the auntie, the good friend is no longer with us on this level. So let's take full advantage of their company while we have it.
Indeed.
All right. Salam
We'll speak.
alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay.